Today on the channel, Jakks Classic Superstars Tag Teams Series 2. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we continue our deep dive into the Jakks Classic Superstars line with the Jakks Classic Superstars Tag Teams, Tag Teams Series 2, which were a Toys R Us exclusive. If you guys have been watching the channel, hopefully you have been and subscribed to the channel, most importantly, as I put out a new Jakks Classic Superstars video every single Tuesday as we go through every single series, every single figure, and you name it in the Classic Superstars line from Jakks, my favorite series of all time. We talk about all of them. We've just recently started, last week, we started the Tag Team series. So now we're in Tag Team Series 2. So if you're not subscribed and you've missed any of them, go back, search the channel. All kinds of videos on the Jakks Classic Superstars line there for you to check out. But today, like I said, Jakks Classic Superstars, the Tag Teams Series 2 from 2005, Toys R Us exclusive. My issue with this one is, once again, Toys R Us, the exclusive line, we just were surprised. They just showed up on the shelves one day. Very rarely did we ever get a peek, especially in these early series. We never got a peek under the tent of what was coming out. It was a surprise. So we talked in the last video about the utter shock I had seeing the Legion of Doom, the Rockers, and the Heart Foundation on the pegs. I had a similar shock, but not to that degree when I saw this set on the pegs. I was excited to see a new set on the pegs. However, I thought this was going to be all classic tag teams. I was like, well, we got the Rockers, we got the Heart Foundation, we got the Legion of Doom. And I said, what could we get next? And back then, there wasn't a lot of things known, like I said. This isn't the day and age we're in right now where everybody knows everything 6 months ahead of time. There was still the element of surprise. That could have been a one-and-done set of just some heavy-hitter tag teams, and that was it. So I saw more. That immediately got me excited. But I was hoping for some of the other tag teams. I wanted Demolition. I wanted the Bushwhackers. Rock and Roll Express. Our minds didn't know what we could possibly get at the time. But we got these. We got basically grudge match feuds in 2-packs. And that was a bit of a disappointment. You guys can tell me in the comments if you were disappointed by that back at the time. I said we get single figures in the classic lineup. We get single figures in the Ruthless Aggression traditional lineup. I felt like this was a waste of a spot. There was some good ones, but I think we all have a fondness for the 2-packs, and it is the classic tag teams is what we like the best. Or characters we didn't get in the single line, something like that. I don't need an Undertaker and a Mankind in a 2-pack, for example. Even though I like this pack, and we'll talk about it here in a second, but I wanted to stick to those classic tag teams, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. So I didn't know where this line was going. When I saw these on the shelves, I was just kind of, oh boy, to, oh, that's it. Okay, it is what it is. I get it. It shows a match in history. There's nothing totally wrong with that, but I really wanted to stick to just tag teams. But, if they just released their tag teams, they would have been out of sets pretty soon. So this is a way to give the line a little bit of air. The last set was all tag teams. This is match feuds. The next set goes to tag teams and so on, with some twists and turns along the way. So that kind of sets up where the world was at the time on these. Like I said, disappointed I was initially, and I don't believe I bought these. I think I came in, saw these on the pegs that day, and I said, I don't need them. I'll pass. And through attrition, through clearances, stuff like that, I just picked them up. But it's not something like, you see the LOD, you got to grab that thing immediately. I didn't have that feeling with this set at all. Not to be a downer, not to be too down on the set, but that's, your anticipation. You saw Series 1, that's some heavy hitters. Series 2, how can they top it? This wasn't what I was looking for. So without further ado, let's look at the packaging on Mankind and the Undertaker. We'll talk a little bit about this pack. So Mankind and the Undertaker, one of the best feuds of all time in the WWE, WWF. I don't care what I say about this pack being a 2-pack I didn't really want. The Hell in the Cell match between these two, the feuds between these two, legendary. It's definitely a classic feud, so it does fit with what they originally wanted, I guess, the set to be. It's not just tag teams, it's legendary feuds. This is one that is an all-time classic feud, so it does belong in this set. But you take yourself back to 2005 when these came out, it didn't feel right, but like a lot of the classic singles, there was guys that didn't feel right at the time, feel right now, and that's how I feel about this pack. It makes total sense now, 15 years later. 15 years before, not a lot of sense, but very cool to get this. I really like the Undertaker, and I really like the Mankind figure that come in this pack. Probably two of my favorites, if not my favorite from Jakks. There's a couple of Mankind, Cactus Jacks, Mick Foley's that are really good, but I always liked this figure. I never had an issue with it. And even the Undertaker, you guys know, we got a million RA, Ruthless Aggression style Undertaker figures, but I always liked this one. I just thought it was a good, not too intricate, kind of a plain Jane brawler Undertaker figure. The first thing I always notice in this figure is the big Sarah tattoo on his neck. I think it's a hair bigger than it actually should have been. It kind of takes away from the figure a little bit. But Mankind comes with his mask. We saw this later reuse in a Kmart 2-pack with Terry Funk. We'll talk about that when we get to the exclusives. We saw a lot of reuse from this Mankind in that. But limited edition on the front. There it is. Classic Superstars. You guys know the seal. The gold seal, the foil, and the black. Just screams Classic Superstars every time you see it. Got a limited edition banner. Got the two figures there, of course. Nothing fun up there. You got Undertaker versus Mankind right there on the side. And there you go. You got the glamour shot pictures of him on the other side. You can see Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Mankind. Jeez, I'll get it. Well, let me run through the gamut. You can see his tie has got the lovable Mankind tie, where this one's got the traditional black, kind of like the Hell in the Cell tie, I guess we'd call it. So a little off there. I believe that might have been reused from Jakks Classic Superstars Series 2, I want to say. And you got the back, same picture there of Mankind on the side. And you got Undertaker, a little glamour shot. Promoting the line down below, I believe that's Classic Series 5, I think, with probably my favorite Terry Funk figure of all time. I love that Terry Funk figure. Nikolai, Sheik, Orndorff, Bundy, Beefcake, a heavy hitter lineup. That's how a lot of those Classic Superstars were at the beginning, a lot of heavy hitters. So let's see what it says about Mankind and the Undertaker back here. Mankind debuted 1986, weight 287 pounds. Finishing move, the Mandible Claw, 6'2". Titles, WWE Champion, WWE Tag Team Champion, WWE Hardcore Champion. Titles, let's see, favorite quote, have a nice day. Very simple, very, very friendly. Undertaker debuted 1989, 304 pounds. Finishing move, the Tombstone Pile Driver, Chokeslam, the Last Ride. Titles, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Tag Team Champion, Hardcore Champion. Favorite quote, rest in peace. Yeah, very simple. Nothing terribly crazy back there. This one is in a couple of different languages on the back. You got parental guidance 12 and up, and you got a plug for WWE 24/7 on demand. We'll get to it eventually. There was a 24/7 on demand Ric Flair Jakks Class Superstar exclusive in a pink robe that drove me absolutely nuts. I actually had WWE on demand since day one, the day it came to the day they discontinued it. But then maybe 6 months, a year into it, they said, hey, if you're a new subscriber and you send in your cable receipt, you pay shipping, you get this Ric Flair figure. Well, I called up my cable bill, I called up WWE, they said, oh no, you've been a subscriber, you can't get it. So I fought back and forth, I never got it until later, we'll talk about that down the road. But very, very strange, they wouldn't give it to me. I should have canceled and re-upped, maybe that would have worked, or had my parents do it, I don't know. I should have figured some way out to do it. But I'm glad I eventually got that figure down the line. So there you go. Very cool. You know, you got table back there too. I didn't mention that table. And I believe this is the table. The base of the table is what they base this on after you take all the stuff off, where he went through on the Hell in the Cell. So it's a little nice Easter egg to that as well, but a very cool to get a table. Back then, you know, we're spoiled with tables and stuff nowadays. You can just go to Ringside Collectibles and order a table anytime you want. Back then, you had 2 or 3, 4 tables. Your imagination ran wild. It was very cool to get tables and some of these accessories. These are the olden times when accessories were just starting to take off with Jakks, so it was very cool to get that. But a solid 2-pack as 15 years have went by. Not solid at the time, very solid now. So that's Mankind and The Undertaker. Let's look at the next one. All right, the next 2-pack we got in the set is another one that kind of scratched my head back in the day. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake felt totally classic at the time. Stone Cold wasn't quite classic yet, but he was pretty close. Closer than others that had been in the line at the time. And I guess if you would have put your hat on, you would have said, hey, you know what? These both will be very classic in the future. Stone Cold had cemented his legacy, well cemented his legacy by 2005. So I don't know, but once again, I was disappointed by this. I wanted Demolition. I wanted something else. I didn't want this feud. This wasn't a memorable feud to me. I know it kicked off the 316, but when I think of Stone Cold's greatest feuds, I don't really think of the Jake Roberts 2-pack. I just don't. Maybe you guys do. You can tell me if you do in the comments. But a bit of a plain Jane figure. I always felt... Plain Jane 2-pack, I should say. I felt like this Stone Cold really got cheaped out on. I wish there would have been a soft, good shirt or a vest or something. And they always had him in this one a little bit muscled up compared to what he actually really looked like, with a small kind of peanut head, I always felt. So definitely not the best representation of Stone Cold as far as Jakks go, or Jakks Classic Superstars for that matter. There's many better Jakks Classic Superstar figures of Stone Cold than this one. Jake is all right. I don't mind this Jake. Jake comes with a nice plastic vest. I thought that was a nice touch with the green. A pretty cool Jake. I don't mind this Jake at all. So I'm okay with the Jake. The Stone Cold just didn't live up to my expectations. The Snake is pretty cheap. It feels like something you'd buy. You'd get a little, say you went to a little kid's birthday party and there was a bag full of like plastic junk toys, basically. That's what that Jake feels like. It doesn't feel like anything special. It feels like they found that in another line and said, hey, throw that in and pretend it's Jake Snake. That's what it felt like to me. But there it is on the front. You can see him for yourself. Definitely not as cool as the last pack we saw. That pack, you know, with the table and the two really good figures. Like I said, Stone Cold, not a good figure for me. Maybe it is for you. You can tell me if you view it differently in the comments. I just don't like that Stone Cold figure at all. The Jake, I'm okay with. I like the Jake. The green really pops with the brown boots, so I like that one a lot. On the side there, you got Jake the Snake Roberts, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then you get the glamour shots on the side. Austin looks really weird in that glamour shot. I guess I didn't notice that. I don't know what's going on there. Huh. Looks like somebody stepped on his toe, or he was hammering a nail and hit it with his finger, or, you know, hammered his fingers or something. That's what he kind of looks like there. This looks a little weird. And then you got the back of the package, of course. We got that whole series lineup down below. Stone Cold Jake. Glamour shots up top. Just can't get over that Stone Cold. Just not a good figure. Just not a fan of it. Stone Cold Steve Austin debuted in 1989, 252 pounds, 6'2", finishing move, the Stone Cold Stunner. Titles, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion. Favorite quote, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. There you go. Jake Snake Roberts, debuted 1975, 252 pounds, finishing move, the DDT. Snake's names, Damien and Lucifer. Revelations, I mean, he had a few. What was his Cobra's name? Did he have a name for his Cobra? I'm sure he did. I can't remember it. I'm sure somebody can tell me in the comments. I always loved Jake with the Cobra. That was a great heel move to move to the Cobra. I mean, if there was ever a snake that was a heel and thought of as a heel, it's Cobra. Think of Cobra Commander. Think of G.I. Joe. Nothing screams heel like Cobra. But there it is. Another letdown pack. Still a letdown for me after all these years. The Stone Cold I just can't get past. But I like the Jake. I like the Jake so much. I actually have a loose version of the Jake the Snake Roberts from this pack. A lot of good detail on this. I love the snakes on the tights. Like I said, I love the brown boots. Love that snake on the back, too. I think it was very solid. I think they did Jake justice in the Jakks Class Superstars line. Looks just like him to me. Very, very cool. Love Jake the Snake. Just not the best 2-pack, and not the 2-pack I would have chose to keep this line going. As we know, it kept going, but I think if you would have came out with another Heavy Hitters Series 2 set, I think maybe the ball would have rolled even harder and faster, but that would be revisionist history at this point. So there's Jake, there's Stone Cold. Now it's time for Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper. All right, our third and final entry into the Jakks Class Superstars Tag Teams 2-pack was an iconic feud back in the day, Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Roddy Piper. And of the 3 packs we see today, this one felt classic from the word go, feels even more classic now. So I think that is really cool. I didn't mind this one at all. Me being a huge Roddy Piper fan, I was always happy to get another Roddy Piper. Even though this is very similar to his early Classic Superstars figure he got. Basically, it's the same figure without a shirt top. That's just some reuse. And then Jimmy Snuka, about the same figure that we got in the traditional Classic line, except this one has the Bengal tiger stripe trunks that he wore, if you guys remember that. The other one was more of the cheetah in the single card. So a little difference there. I cannot for the life of me remember off the top of my head what Jimmy wore back when this feud and the coconuts and all that happened. I'm not sure if this is accurate. I always felt like I think the Bengal stripes were later on in his career and the Cheeto were earlier. I could be wrong there, but I do appreciate Jakks giving us a different figure instead of just putting the same figure in there. We also saw in the Deluxe Classic Superstars line with Jimmy Snuka down the road. We'll get to that down the road, like I said. He comes with boots, and that was a first. We had never had a Jimmy Snuka figure with boots before, so that was really cool. And then Mattel released their first and only Jimmy Snuka figure with boots, which really drove a lot of people crazy. But I know what Mattel was doing there. We'd had the barefoot Jimmy Snuka so often, it was time for a boots one. And I figured they thought, hey, we'll have more Jimmy Snukas, we'll get to that. Now we know what's happened with Jimmy Snuka and all of his legacy being a little tainted. I don't think we're going to get another Jimmy Snuka figure anytime soon. So for you Mattel collectors, you're left with just Jimmy with boots, which was much, much later day Jimmy Snuka. So a little history there, I guess you would say. But let's take a look at the packaging on this one. There is Jimmy, of course, the Bengal striped. And then Piper, like we said, no shirt, but he still has that kilt that he had. He's got a nice little RP design on the side of his boots, which you really can't see here. Really great touch. It does come with the coconuts. As you guys remember that angle, probably it's a very famous, one of the most famous of all time, where Piper smashed those coconuts over Jimmy's head. Very, very cool angle back then, and represented with coconuts with the package. I don't think we've ever seen that before. And I don't think we'll ever see it again. Maybe we will. Who knows? But they also put in the iconic ring bell. We haven't seen the ring bell for a while in the Classic Superstars video, so it's good to have this back. And if my memory is right, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I remember it was this ring bell was originally the plan instead of the coconuts. If you guys know, Piper, he smashed the coconuts over Snuka's head in the Piper's Pit segment. Originally, the plan was the ring bell was going to be used. But then Roddy Piper was walking around backstage before the show. He saw Jimmy just going to town on these coconuts. He had a whole bag of them. He carried them like a sack of potatoes. And he was hammering them in, doing the old school straw gimmick. You put the straw in, you drink the juice. And Piper, just getting all crazy. And he's probably a little coked up to, Piper back in the day. But said, hey, let's bang these coconuts over your head and we'll pass on the ring bell. It'll make a lot more sense because you're drinking on these coconuts and eating these things all day long like they're going out of style. And that's what I heard was the rumor of the ring bell. It was the original plan before the coconuts. Somebody can fact check that. I'm not sure if I'm 100% right, but I think that's pretty much the truth. So if somebody wants to fact check that out there, you sure can for me. Let's look at the side of the package here. You got Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka, of course. And there's the old glamour shot. And once again, similar to that Mankind, they used the old picture of Piper. He's got the Hot Rod shirt, which is nowhere to be seen on this actual figure. And then you got the back, the whole lineup down below from the single-carded release. Promoting, Jakks was a master promoter of promoting their other lines. Once again, there's Piper with the wrong figure being shown. Jimmy, is that the right one? It's pretty close on Jimmy. You can't really tell without seeing the pants or the tights. Let's see what it says about these boys. Jimmy Snuka debuted in 1969. That's the crazy thing. By the early 80s, he'd already been in 13, 14, 15 years in the business. 250 pounds, Superfly Splash is his finishing move. Or the Plongeon Superplat. Roddy Piper debuted 1972, 231 pounds. Finishing move, the Sleeper. Titles, WWE Intercontinental Champion, WCW Heavyweight Champion. And his favorite quote, "It's time to pay the piper." Poor Jimmy Snuka, no titles, no quotes, no talking. He didn't need a belt to be over, I guess. That's Jimmy Snuka for you. So there you have it. A solid pack. I think this one represents the best feud of the three, with the Austin Jake probably being my least favorite. My favorite figures are probably the Mankind, the Undertaker out of it. So it's a real mixed bag here. We talked about it at the beginning, my thoughts about this. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Were you blown away by this? Were you happy? Do you even remember this? Are you going back trying to get these now? A lot to put in the comments, a lot to talk about. Don't forget to like the video, of course. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're doing Jakks videos every single week. We got a long ways to go. We still got the Deluxe Classics. We got to finish up the tag teams. We got to do the 3-packs. We got to do the rings. We got to do the ring giants. We got to do the 1 of 100s. We got to do all the exclusives. A long ways to go, so if you're just hopping on board, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. Turn your notification bell on. And for the Classic Superstars Series 2 2-packs Toys R Us exclusives, I'm Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.